Hey everyone, my name is Matt and I'm one of the pastors at City Church Manchester, and each day we're sharing something from our devotions that have encouraged us that will hopefully encourage you. And I want to share with you Psalm 9. I'm going to read it to you and share a couple of thoughts. This is Psalm 9. To the choir master according to Muthlaben, a psalm of David. I will give thanks to the Lord with my whole heart. I will recount all of your wonderful deeds. I will be glad and exult in you. I will sing praise to your name, O Most High. When my enemies turn back, they stumble and perish before your presence. For you have maintained my just cause. You have sat on the throne giving righteous judgment. You have rebuked the nations. You have made the wicked perish. You have blotted out their name forever and ever. The enemy came to an end in everlasting ruins. Their cities you rooted out. The very memory of them has perished. But the Lord sits enthroned forever. He has established his throne for justice. And he judges the world with righteousness. He judges the peoples with uprightness. The Lord is a stronghold for the oppressed, a stronghold in times of trouble. And those who know your name put their trust in you. For you, O Lord, have not forsaken those who seek you. Sing praises to the Lord who sits enthroned in Zion. Tell among the peoples his deeds, for he who avenges blood is mindful of them. He does not forget the cry of the afflicted. Be gracious to me, O Lord. See my affliction from those who hate me. O you who lift me up from the gates of death, that I may recount all your praises, that in the gates of the daughter of Zion I may rejoice in your salvation. The nations have sunk in the pit that they have made. In the net they have hid, their own foot has been caught. The Lord has made himself known. He has executed judgment. The wicked are snared in the work of their own hands. Higgaion Selah. The wicked shall return to Sheol, all the nations that forget God. For the needy shall not always be forgotten, and the hope of the poor shall not perish forever. Arise, O Lord, let not man prevail. Let the nations be judged before you. Put them in fear, O Lord. Let the nations know that they are but men. Selah. Well, I want to focus just very briefly on verses 9 to 10. The Lord is a stronghold for the oppressed, a stronghold in times of trouble. And those who know your name put their trust in you. For you, O Lord, have not forsaken those who seek you. And I guess my question is, where are you vulnerable at the moment? And what I mean is, if there could be a magic wand that could make you feel strong, or that could make you feel more sustained or more healthy, or let me put it like this, more able to cope, what would that wish be? What would that change be that for you at this moment seems, in your mind at least, would make all of the difference? Well, that's the situation that David's writing about here. This is a psalm longing for justice when he's feeling broken and downtrodden. He uses this idea of feeling oppressed, feeling the world kind of beating down, stretching you beyond what you can bear. And his encouragement in verses 9 and 10 is to say, actually, even though physically, perhaps even relationships around him have let him down or not been able to help him, he has chosen to say that my stronghold is in God. And it's this idea of when people are in the countryside were under threat, perhaps a band of marauding raiders were coming to them and they were fearing for their families, their livestock, for their very lives. When they got early warning, they would go to the nearest stronghold, perhaps a higher piece of ground, in the case of flooding or disaster. Perhaps a place that was fortified by soldiers, or where people could band together to offer themselves more protection, a stronghold. That's where you would go for the duration where you needed the help, where you knew on your own you couldn't cope and you were vulnerable. And David is saying, actually, in times of trouble, when you look around at all of the things that you would want to put your confidence in and they don't help, he's saying, where are you going to go? Where's your stronghold going to be right now? And for David, he's saying, my stronghold is the Lord. Now, I guess in this sense, he doesn't quite know what the Lord will do to protect him, but he knows that's where he needs to go. And I guess that's the encouragement for us today. Where are you vulnerable? Now, I don't know. That's probably something that you've been reflecting on and crying out now for a while, but the Lord knows, and he is saying to you today through this psalm, come to him. Well, how do you do that? Well, in verse 10, it says, for those who know your name put their trust in you. That is the name of the Lord. Now, in the New Testament, we know that the name of the Lord is Jesus. Emmanuel, God with us. The one who himself understands what it means to be vulnerable in flesh. He knows what it means to go through times when you can't cope. We think of Gethsemane for that, don't we? And yet at that time, when Jesus needed to go to his stronghold, it's interesting when we think of Gethsemane, he went to his Father. That's who he wanted to talk to, isn't it? On the night that he was betrayed, the day before he would undergo the worst ravaging that humans could go through. His stronghold was with God. And if you know the name of Jesus, then that stronghold is available to you too. Wherever you are, whatever your circumstance, God with us. David himself, who only saw a shadow of what was to come in the gospel, says this, for you, O Lord, have not forsaken those who seek you. I don't know where you are today, but the encouragement is look to Jesus, seek him, and trust that in him, somehow, some way, he will be your stronghold and provide a way for you to keep going through this, because he knows you, gets you, he understands you, and he loves you. I hope that's an encouragement for you today.